Leviathan is an entity that's encountered in chapter 14 of Kenix, and I didn't have any artwork associated with the creature. And so every time before I'm getting ready to write about a scene or any sort of big moment that features a specific character, monster, environment, I'm always trying to capture that visually. And so with this drawing, with this example, I wanted to capture the essence of Leviathan and all of its kind of might and glory in a way that was true to its form. And so I borrowed a lot of influences from nature, in particular from reptilian and kind of avian body plans, in addition to something that was really meant to do well aquatically. I'm also adding these industrial kind of mecha themes to juxtapose the nature ones that I mentioned earlier to further set it apart from an animal or creature that you would typically bump into in the wild. Additionally, from the feet, I want to incorporate, these really sharp talons. You can insert your Napoleon Dynamite reference whenever, but I wanted that to be paired with this webbing that would help propel it through the water when it's swimming. And so if you look carefully, you can see the webbing between the toes, and you can also see these fins just kind of adorning its body, going from its back all the way to its forearms and even its tail. And originally they were going to take a bit more of a rounded structure, but I decided to completely scrap that because I wanted something that was going to still kind of speak in this aerodynamic sort of presentation. And so I scrapped the round shape for something that was much more sharp, much more kind of delta and triangular in presentation, and that just felt a lot more appropriate for this design. And so we've got this very serpentine body structure that I just kind of formed with an S, so to speak, on paper. And I want to give him this kind of like, droopy, I don't know what I was trying to say there, droopy structure to where he's kind of like, slumping back. He's kind of a bit lanky. And so the reason why is because he's used to buoyancy. He can definitely traverse on land, but in this drawing, I want to represent him in a bit more of an aquatic sort of atmosphere. Let's talk about the horns, because that took a lot of design time and was very detail intensive. But calling back to kind of marine inspiration, I wanted to find something in nature that could kind of represent that. And so the inspiration from which I'm talking about is something that comes from something like a conch shell or other types of shells that you would find from different marine life in the ocean. And so you can kind of see some of those spiral themes reproduced and persisted in the horn design before they curve back into the skull of the creature. And so he's lanky, but he's robust. He's very powerful. He's very strong. And so I wanted to show that muscle definition on the arms, all across the legs, just everywhere where it's appropriate. Even that chest, you can just kind of see it like, puffing out. But this entity is meant to kind of embody that, imposing structure. That same sharp, aerodynamic, aggressive look that I was talking about, I'm applying that to the tail as well. This anterior fin that we saw, this is going to end in a kind of spear-like fashion, which, again, I also feel like this is just complementing that look that I mentioned before. And I'm also going to put some more detail onto the silhouettes of things. So I'm trying to keep the background pieces of this concept art just kind of simplified, really just keeping it kind of kept to outlines for the most part, so you'll just kind of see the kind of figures, if you will, the shapes of how the leg looks, the arm looks in the background, all that fun stuff. And again, we've got this knight's armor-esque sort of presentation with regard to the armor plates that are covering its body. As you can see with its height, you can see that teeny tiny man who's actually like the average sized person standing next to it, and just how high he towers over someone like that. And that, in a nutshell, is how I made the story art for Leviathan. Stay tuned for more. Feel free to like, follow, and subscribe for more content related to Kenix, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers.